Dear friends, welcome. In this video, we'll be studying about the rule of law. A very interesting and controversial topic, of course, because the rule of law has its different dimension nowadays. It has undergone some metamorphosis, a great transformation. Whether it is positive or negative, we can't say. After completion of the discussion, only you have to say. Rule is something, some regulations, some rules and regulations framed by some individual or some organization. Suppose you are working in some organization, they frame some rules and regulations as to how you have to behave, your professional conduct, behavior, and your work performance, etc., etc. And they are discretionary. They may relax, they may impose systematic, whatever. Whereas a law is fixed because it's made by legislation, legislature, parliament, or assembly. You have to abide by the principles of law. There is a difference between rule and law, whereas rule of law is entirely different. Here, the enforcement of real law is not discretionary, it is mandatory, and the principles of the end of law is justice. Whether justice is really imparted or not, really created or not by the principles of law, and particularly the fundamental rights of the citizens are protected or not, because the ultimate law of the land is constitution. The law is supreme means particularly they call it supremacy of the constitution. And you know very well that a rule of law means some three or four principles. The first one is supremacy of law and your constitutional supremacy. The second one is equality principle. All people must be treated alike. And the next one is legal spirit. That means law should be followed in spirit, not in letter. And I will discuss that further after in due course of time. Then next one is there should be absence of arbitrary power of the government. Government means government officials. There should not be any arbitrary power. If there is an arbitrary power, the rule, the rights of the people will not be protected. So these are the principles you know very well. But the actual interpretation of the rule of law, I'm going to say. Before that, I would like to say one important anecdote, and that is when I attended one interview for faculty position, one of the board members asked me one question at the very outset in the beginning: Who is ruling the nation, our country? Very interesting. I said without any hesitation, yes, people are ruling our country. Because at the very outset in the preamble, in the constitution, it is very clear that we, the people of India, give to ourselves the constitution, etc., etc. That means we have drafted the constitution and we are ruling ourselves. That means people are sovereign. So people are ruling the nation, our country. We are ruling our country. I said, he smiled for a while and then he told me that no, I don't agree with you thoroughly, maybe to some extent, but it is the rule of law that is ruling the nation. That is the underlying point here. Why the interpretation of these principles of a rule of law, that is supremacy, legal spirit, absence of arbitrary power, and all these things, the actual interpretation of these principles are this. The first one is accountability. That means all government officials, government must be held responsible and they are answerable also to the people in respect in each and every respect for that matter, government policies, implementations, any violation of rights, whatever it is, accountability. And that is quite absent nowadays in our country. Accountability is not there, and because of that, what has happened in our judiciary is 50%, more or less 50% of the cases which are running in the court of law, apex courts, are related to government litigations, very surprisingly. Okay, now the second one is protection of human rights and fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are guaranteed by the law of the land, that is constitution. They should be protected. Not only rights, but also the property must be protected. And the third one is accessibility. That means every people will have the opportunity all persons, every citizen, so all people, irrespective of their cadre, irrespective of their position, status, etc., etc., they must have the facility, opportunity to approach the court of law and get justice. So the fifth part right is delivery of justice. The great writer, one Damijo, in his book Unlawful Justice, he said at the very outset one beautiful sentence about justice and law. He said, "Oh, justice, we can have it in the next world. Now, in this world, we can have law," he said, very satirically. That means justice is the end of law is justice, but justice is it is conspicuously missing, he says. And another jurist, very interesting man, he says that, see, law is or the principle of law or the law by itself is a myth, and these laws are for the people who have no education and who have no understanding, and that is why the powerful are encroaching upon the powerless. What a surprising thing it is. And because of that, this rule of law has come to the picture nowadays for a long time, of course. For a long time, this rule, and it has been evolving day by day, and sometimes positive side in a positive way, doing justice to the people, protecting the human rights, etc., and sometimes in a negative way also. And that is only because of the people's hankering of rights, fundamental rights, in a negative dimension, taking the rights in a negative way also. Unlimited rights they wanted to enjoy. For example, in adultery, most of the cases have been filed, petitions have been filed in the courts of law. Why punishment is only to a man? Why not woman? And some people fought like this. Why one must be given freedom, liberty, equality, autonomy, sexual autonomy? She is not a slave. We have to protect her right, liberty, dignity, etc., etc. Of course, the government of India and the judiciary also has gone to the extent of saying that okay, adultery is not a crime; it is only a ground for justice, ground for this divorce. Don't fight, don't make much about nothing, and all said. In fact, it is not the matter of human dignity or liberty, equality, etc. of the woman. It's a matter of humanity. It's a matter of affinity between man and woman, between wife and husband. And we have to protect our not only rights, also our cultural heritage for that matter. These are the great wounds. The same is the case with the supremacy issue. Why only man? Why not woman? It's a cultural heritage. Even women also have some vratas, particularly for women. Why to fight unnecessarily for rights, and same-sex marriage? That is also human rights, fundamental rights. Human rights, fundamental rights. See, there are two things, power and rights. Power is not absolute. In the same way, rights are also not absolute. If the rights, there is a well saying by the judges that absolute power corrupts absolutely. That means power should not be absolute. In the same way, rights should not be absolute. They must have some limitation. That's why we say that some juries have framed that the doctrine of limitation. Limitation in respect of power and also in respect of rights. And particularly in respect of rights, what Jawaharlal Nehru said is this: to enjoy your rights, human rights, fundamental rights, whatever right, you must respect two. Number one, your duties. Then the second one is cultural heritage. So these two are very distinctly enshrined in the directive principles of the state policy. So these are the things to be noted. So what is this? Anyway, in respect of the human rights, fundamental rights, and the rule of law, implementation of the rule of law in a very systematic way, in such a way that justice is done to all people. The most important agencies to implement are two. Number one, judiciary. And the second one is government officials. They should not resort to arbitration. They should not exercise arbitrary power. Once they exercise that kind of arbitrary power, our rights will be collapsed. Fundamental rights will be disappeared. Then there is no rule of law at all. That is the fundamental thing here. And the rule of law index is another development, another evolution. There is some criteria. On the basis of the criteria, different countries have been designated. They have been given different ranks also. In the next video, the second part of this video, we shall be discussing. Thank you. If you like it, please share it and also subscribe. Thank you.